Hello, everyone. Welcome to Christopher's Entertainment Blog, and welcome back for another video review for DC's Legends of Tomorrow Season 1, Episode 6, entitled Star City 2046. In this episode, guys, we got to see the whole team crash land on a basically potential alternate reality of the future of Star City 2046. I have to say, this episode was fantastic. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And for me, there was nothing but positives, only a few nitpick negatives throughout the whole episode. But for me personally, I loved it. The first positive, getting into it real quick, is the right at the beginning we see Captain Cold, Heat Wave. They're always trying to steal something. Every time they go to these wherever in history they go, wherever they stop, they always want to have they always want to try to steal something. I thought that was kind of funny, and I really enjoyed that. That where as soon as they crash land here, they're like, "Wow, look at this place. We can pillage this place and do anything we want. Let's go find a bank and let's try to rob this bank." So I find it funny that so far everywhere they go, they always seem to try to find some way to try to steal something or have some type of scheme to rob somebody. So I found that funny right off the bat. So that was a positive for me. Another positive was I kind of enjoyed the beginning of the whole Dr. Stein trying to play love doctor to Jefferson, and and him trying to set him up with Kendra, which I found to be incredibly weird because I felt like she just lost her soulmate, and who was Carter, and they saw him die, and now you have Jefferson and you have Palmer both hitting on her. I found that a little weird towards the end. Like, why are you trying this again? It seemed kind of odd, but I did like the fact that Dr. Stein tried to help out Jefferson and inadvertently screwed it up. He basically ended up making Palmer want to ask out Kendra, and I thought that was kind of funny. The whole thing with when we see this new Arrow, and then we find out that the rumors were right for last week that this is Connor Hawk. I found that to be great. I really enjoyed that. I was like, okay, so the rumors were right. It is Connor Hawk. But what I didn't see coming was the fact that this is actually John Diggle's son. I did not see that at all coming, and it didn't cross my mind at all. I mean, I didn't think at all to think, oh well, that's John Diggle's son. And it turns out it is. It's John Diggle Jr. He's going by the name Connor Hawk. So my question is, where in the timeline in this possible reality does John Diggle's wife Lila, what happens to her? Because in Arrow, he's married to Lila. They have a daughter. Where is the daughter at? So John Diggle Jr. has a sister. Where is she at? Where's Lila at? My guess is that something probably happened to Lila. She's head of Argus now, so it's a possibility that something she got killed in a fight or a battle. I mean, this city looked terrible. I mean, it was completely anarchy run by the criminals. So probably something happened to her. It seemed like everybody was dead to begin with. So that's my guess. But I found it kind of interesting to I'd like to find out like I mean even I'd like to find out more about what happened in this so-called future reality. That what happened to Lila, what happened to the daughter. We have a great scene finally when they meet up with this Connor Hawk, and he takes him into the hideout that's on air, and it looks terrible. It's in shambles. And out from the shadows comes this incredibly old Oliver Queen. He's missing an arm. It's insane. I'm like, what is happening with this madness? The makeup looked great though. The actual practical effect and everything. And that arm that he had looked like something maybe Cyborg would have or something. I mean, it looked insane. I have to give props for the whole makeup department. They did a fantastic job with everything in in this episode, and everything with that whole scene in down in the Arrow hideout was great with Oliver and Sarah seeing this Green Arrow that's similar to the comics with the goatee and everything was very cool. We got to see an intense scene. This whole intense scene with Heatwave and Captain Cold, Mick and Snart. They were at each other's throats a little bit like this. I I have to say that that whole confrontation the whole time. I mean, we have Heatwave who wants to stay in this reality because he gets to be like this kingpin, basically. He gets to have the run of the whole entire city. It's what he wants. He's like a kid in a candy store. And then we see a surprising Captain Cold is not so cold. I mean, he doesn't want that. He wants to actually help out his friends. He even says that to Mick. What about our friends? I want to help Sarah and Rip. And it was a little surprising. I mean, we've seen shades of this coming on the past few weeks that Captain Cold is slowly turning into possibly a hero or a good guy. And then we see this new episode, we see Heatwave kind of going to the dark side. I mean, even darker because then later on he said, "I just want to watch this world burn." I mean, which is like, wow, okay. I mean, that is intense. And then we see that confrontation where he knocks out Heatwave, and they end up going to back to the ship. He imprisons him in that jail or whatever, and that whole confrontation was intense. He was like, "If you ever hit me again, I'm gonna watch you burn," or something. So I mean, there's something going down with Heatwave and Captain Cold. I think something's going to explode, and that whole so-called team is going to implode big time. The other positive for me was seeing Oliver and Connor Hawk work together at the end, seeing Oliver get in the fight and shooting those arrows. That whole scene was great. At the end, the fighting was fantastic. I enjoyed it. The whole team getting in there. Finally, Dr. Stein convincing Rip Hunter to we have to work together. We're better than Vandal Savage if we try to have his morals to try to just leave Sarah behind or whatever. I mean, we have to be better than him. And he ends up having the whole team get together and fight this Slade Wilson's son, who goes by the name of Grant Wilson, who that's going to be one of my negatives, and that negative is going to be the whole Deathstroke wannabe. This Grant Wilson, he's the son of Slade Wilson. He didn't remind me of Slade Wilson at all. I don't even think they have similar accents either. But I found Grant Wilson to be kind of lame and not very intimidating at all. I thought he was a terrible villain, and that whole thing just did not work for me at all. And there really wasn't much there. He says, I own the whole city, and it's just like, really, this guy owns the whole city? It just didn't work for me. That character was kind of weak. There wasn't much substance there to him. He doesn't seem like he was very intimidating at all. One interesting fact was that we got to find out that that's where he cut off the arm of Oliver Queen, was where he was going to kill Connor Hawk. That was kind of interesting. But other than that, I thought he was a weak villain. A slight nitpick negative is that I would really, really like to see more of 2046, and I hate it that they had to leave this timeline because it's only like one possible like future, so probably that future will never come to be, probably. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It's just too bad that we couldn't have spent more time in that reality. I found it quite interesting to see this older Green Arrow. We see Connor Hawk, we see, Slade Wilson's, Deathstroke gang or whatever running around. And even though Grant Wilson was a weak villain, I found the Mick Rory and Leonard Snart storyline to be quite interesting. I found Sarah to be awesome in this episode. She was quite strong again. And the only other slight thing that I just didn't, it wasn't a negative, but I could have dealt with that, was the whole love triangle with filling up the space with Kendra and Jefferson and Palmer and Stein. That whole thing was funny at first, but then it got kind of tiring and just didn't make sense. But I really, really enjoyed the episode. For me, right now, this is my favorite episode they have done yet. I think it's the best one they've done. I really enjoyed it. I really like seeing the whole timeline of what could possibly happen in this Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow world. I mean, that was quite interesting, and it's got me wondering what happens to John Diggle and Lila and their daughter and Connor Hawk now. So yeah, I really hope we see them again, or in some other iteration. That would be quite cool. But hey guys, that's going to do it for me for this video review for Legends of Tomorrow. Please write in the comments below if there's anything that I may have missed that you guys want to talk about that was a positive for you or a negative for you about the episode. Please write in the comments. But that will do it for me for this week. I will see you guys next week for another review for Legends of Tomorrow. Thanks a lot. Take it easy.